The next stop is On the Radar Radio.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Yes, sir, baby. On the Radar Radio. Yo, very special guest in the building. SixSaidIt in the building. What's up?
Yes, what's up? I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I mean, it's been a good week. Yesterday, I was at the Orchard office, did like a hip hop history month panel and stuff. So it was a good start to the weekend. Yeah.
Oh, fire. It was just like general hip hop history?
Yeah, so basically, it was like a panel with 3 other people. Smoke Dizzle was there.
Nice.
And a couple other people, Drea from SoundCloud. And we were just talking about, you know, ways to keep hip hop alive. And then we talked about the Billboard article that came out, whether like the hip hop magic is dead or whatever. So we got
hip hop
that
magic
conversation.
is dead.
I know there's somebody that was like bold enough to write like an article about that and like about different things that contribute to whether or not hip hop is still alive. So, but it was cool. It was a good open conversation. At the end, obviously hip hop is still alive. Like duh, you know. So
That's gotta be the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Hip hop. If hip hop is dead, then why is like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be like, look, if hip hop is dead, then how is Drake and 21 Savage album gonna be like number? You know what I'm saying? If hip hop was dead, Drake wouldn't be Drake anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or Drake wouldn't be as poppin' as he is.
Yeah, I feel like what they were trying to say though, they were like,
Classic hip hop is dead.
Yeah, they were like, okay, you know, hip hop has always been on the rise, and yeah, we're still at the top, but like our rate of going up has like gone down, I guess.
Okay.
So like the percentage of where like it's kind of like, okay, if you're running, right? If you're like a sprinter and you got like all this space between all the other people, but now it's like everybody else is catching up and you barely win in the race. So that's like the perspective that they were trying to angle it at.
Yeah, I guess I get that, but also at the same time, they're wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like they're wrong. I was saying though, I feel like the reason why they feel that is a lot of platforms that we had to champion hip hop are gone now. So like where you had like the 106 in Parks, where you had Source Vibe, and like all of those different spaces have been replaced with like TikTok is now like the #1 place to promote music. And that isn't really a space that's created for hip hop. It's created for 30-second, 15-second clips of whatever music is popular. So, but yeah, I was just saying that I feel like if people remembered that hip hop was the blueprint, we wouldn't be chasing those spaces. We would go back to creating the spaces that we already have. And like championing, like, for example, On the Radar, championing places like here.
Oh, thank you.
You know, other podcasts and other people that are, you know, doing it up for the culture.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You know, I was gonna spew some bullshit, and you know, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna see. Look, she almost got it out of me too. I don't be talking shit like that on camera too. But she almost got it out of me. But I agree. It's like definitely like there's like a lot less. Like I want to say there are less hip hop platforms. I want to say that there's less overall. I would say that there's less for the like younger people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always have like, you got your Drink Champs, right? Joe Budden's podcast technically is a hip hop podcast too, obviously. What else? The Matt Hoffa podcast, but like their guests even are kind of like older too. They're not really so much on the younger side, which is still like, they have a big platform. That's not taking anything away. Breakfast Club, they kind of teeter on the line of like younger artists and mostly artists who are popping.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else has a podcast that's like that. That might be it. If I'm forgetting somebody, I'm sorry. But like, there's not like a lot of spaces for like young artists. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. And I feel like if you don't have space for young artists, if you don't have space for young and up and coming artists, you're never gonna be able to see like what those new sounds are coming up. Like I have my engineer, he has a studio in the Bronx.
Tough.
And every time I come in it's like a little attic in the top of the house. And every time I go in his studio and he's like mixing something, I'm like, oh, this shit is fire. Like it's like crazy sounds that no one is ever gonna hear because people are not giving people the platform. They're not like, what are we gonna do? Have these people on social media pushing their stuff where there's hundreds and hundreds, you know, like the whole music industry is like is so saturated right now. You don't even give these young people a space to like showcase these new sounds. So all of these inventors, like, you know, when you hear, like when the Migos came out, for example, we don't even have like mixtapes anymore.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have Dat Piff or anything like that. You're not even creating spaces for people to get to know these sounds that are like underground, so to speak. So how the hell is hip hop gonna continue to be what it needs to be if you're not giving space for young voices, you know, and you're I guess, relying on, and don't sue me now because I'm trying to get on those platforms too, but like when you're relying on people who have known hip hop from like the 90s and the early 2000s, like they're going to always think of it. They're always going to have that reference point. They're not going to be open to like what hip hop could look like. They're going to complain about it, you know, and even when they don't complain about it, even when they pretend to like it, because a lot of them now, they're catching on and they're trying to pretend like they like something when they know that they don't, you know, you're still not giving space for people to who have genuine critiques, genuine outlooks of what hip hop could look like.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's a fact.
it is what it is. Hopefully we get to the point where everybody kind of realizes who the fuck we are and what the fuck we've built, and allowing people to, I guess, bring a new definition to that and like upgrade it. Damn, we can't be living in these old houses forever, you know? Yeah.
Right. I agree. Definitely agree with that. And kind of like shifting that to like you, right, as an artist, your background is interesting. So you were born in the UK?
Yes.
And then you moved around quite a bit.
Yeah, I was born in London. I grew up in London for the most part. Then I moved I was bouncing back and forth between London and Atlanta, kind of like 21, but he moved when he was 5. Okay. I didn't move permanently to Atlanta till I was 14.
Okay.
But before then, I would bounce back and forth. And then I came to New York for college, was here for 6 years, and then I recently moved to LA, Pace.
Pace, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And now you're in LA.
Now I'm in LA, yeah.
How do you shed the accent then? It's a real question I have.
Like, you know,
no, it's a real question.
It's
a real question.
So like with my British accent, if you're from Atlanta, like I'm sure whoever's watching knows, like Atlanta's very, like an Atlanta accent, and when you're just like really saturated into the space, it's very hard to like not end up being Atlanta. What really irritated me being British was that a lot of people would say things like, can you say tea and crumpets? Do you know the Queen? Can you say water? And after a while, like my 9th grade year, it took me 2 months, and I was like, I have to get rid of this British accent because I never want to be asked that question again. And then before you know it, it's like you saying "sir," "what's up," and all this type of stuff, but it really just ends up depending on who I'm talking to. So if I were to call my best friend Zoe right now, you would think I was the most Southern, like ATL, SWATs kind of girl. But then if I'm in New York, depending on who I'm talking to, I never have a New York accent, but I feel like my accent is more neutral. And then when I'm in LA, it really just depends on who I'm talking to. Yeah. And then of course I'm Nigerian and I speak Pidgin. I'm from Delta State, which is where Pidgin came from. And so if I'm talking to my mom, there's a different way that I speak. Unfortunately, I don't know any native tongues because it is what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. I don't speak Spanish, so you know.
Yeah, okay, so you relate. Because everybody's like, oh my gosh, what do you speak? And I'm like, English.
English.
You know, but yeah, it really just depends on who I speak to.
See, that's interesting because I think of like other artists who I've had that GQ has brought me. Shout out GQ. Who were born overseas, whether it was like the UK or Nigeria or Ghana, and like they still have like their accents.
Yeah.
Like Papi Ojo. Like Papi Ojo still has his accent, you know what I'm saying? But he lives here in America, and he's lived here since he was like 11.
I feel like
so I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like with him though, it's because he's more surrounded by
That's also
Nigerians,
yeah,
so like it's easier for him to kind of still slip into that. For me also, I think the biggest thing for me is like an identity issue. So whereas other people were probably more comfortable with their accents, like people who are British that come over here, they're more comfortable with being British. I was never comfortable anywhere. So like when no matter where I was, I always wanted to fit in because I just never felt comfortable because it wasn't like I was in one space for an extended amount of time. I was bouncing around my entire life.
Right.
So it's not like I ever got the opportunity to just be like, okay, pick one, you know? Because I've never been one place more than the other. So that's what makes it difficult. Yeah.
Have you like personally like dealt with that too? Like kind of like because it's like you're like everywhere you go, like when you came here, you weren't comfortable being British, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had like a real sit down like with somebody and like talked about that? Because I feel like that's something that I feel like whether not, like when you were younger, obviously, but like I feel like that's like some childhood type trauma that is like you got to talk about and shit and open up about.
It 100% is like a childhood trauma. I actually just had like a mental situation because I can't find a therapist because I move around. I'm a travel nurse on top, so it doesn't really help.
Oh, you got the bag. Hold on. Shout out my sis Kiara, who's also traveling. That's like my best friend. She a travel nurse too. She be on the bag.
Yeah, no, travel nursing, it helps. But yeah, so like I feel like I'm never in one place, so I never get to like talk to a therapist, for example. But it is definitely a piece of trauma. I had this conversation with my best friend because I just randomly was bursting into tears because my publicist in the UK was speaking about how a lot of the UK media is kind of reluctant to champion me because they feel like they want to reserve those spaces for UK artists. And it's like, I am British. I don't even have an American passport. You know what I'm saying? My whole family is there. And it was like, I had that challenge where I was just like, damn, like, no matter where I go, I can't hold a claim to that place and call it home. Like, you saw what they did to 21 Savage when they found out he was British, even though he's been here since he was 5. It's the same thing in Atlanta, like, oh, you're not a Grady baby, so are you really from Atlanta? Or, in the UK, obviously, what they said to me, what the press's feedback was there. And then, like, being in New York, it's like, oh, you only went to college here. So it's definitely something that I struggle with, but then I try to find refuge in it in my music. Like, if you listen to all of my projects, you kind of see that I mix and infuse all of these different cultural backgrounds and, like, influences so that I could finally accept who I am as, like, this person who is essentially a cosmopolitan, right?
Right.
But then when you hear things like that, like from press and like when you get on, when people are asking you, so what's your sound? It's kind of like, damn, like even if I try, even though this is the one thing that finally makes me feel like I have a home, because I feel like my music is my home, there's still gonna be people that are asking me to fit in and like figure it out,
Yeah, facts. Yo, real quick, can you go grab my boy John downstairs? Yeah, he's just outside. But yeah, like even like listening to your music, you kind of hear like all those different like undertones of like the different backgrounds and things too. Because it's kind of hard. Like you from Atlanta,
Exactly.
from the UK.
Yeah.
You're Nigerian. You lived in New York for 6 years. You know what I'm saying?
It's tough, but I love it though. Like I love making music. Like I love listening to beats and being like, I love listening to a garage beat and knowing like I can't really rap in that way, like in the typical way that someone would rap to a garage beat. Okay, let me use my way, and then like hearing the product of it,
Right.
hearing that fusion and like seeing my friends that listen to like, I have a friend, her name is Essence. She's a lawyer. Shout out to Essence.
Shout out to Essence.
If you see her, you wouldn't expect it, but all she listens to is like Dirk. And like, all she listens to Dirk, Fetty Wap, like G Herbo. She's very big into like drill. She's from Jersey, like even though
She's
from
a lawyer?
and she's a lawyer. If you see her, you wouldn't even imagine. That's all she listens to is just
She
like
tried
trap
to
music.
drill her. She tried her first drill artist and was like, yeah, I'm trying him, but this shit is fire. I'm gonna keep listening to this shit.
That's her shit though. And so when she started listening to and she doesn't listen to female rappers, like, not to put her out there, but she does not listen to female rappers. Like, she's not into it at all. That's just not her thing. And so when I started making music, to see her listen to like an Afrobeat song and rock with it was like crazy. I felt like accomplished because I feel like that was the purpose of my music anyways, to get people that wouldn't typically listen to certain sounds, be more open-minded to it. And that's really just the point of it all, and just opening people's minds and making sure people understand that just because someone is British doesn't mean that all of their music has to be one way, or vice versa. New York, you don't have to just I hate it when people are like, oh, you're biting this sound or you're biting that sound. As long as you're doing the proper research and, doing its due diligence and being good at it, I feel like it's good to be able to explore those different sounds.
I agree. And you even hear that like with Outside too. You hear that like on there also, yeah.
Yeah. I try,
Yeah. But that was like your first project in 2 years, right? Yeah,
yes, 2 years, man. It's just crazy.
Because the last one came out in 2020,
Yeah.
Dark Days.
Pandemic facts. It was like in the middle of the pandemic. I came out with Outside. And like now, Outside 2 years later, crazy journey for that. I spent 2 years just listening to people tell me all types of stuff. That sound stuff really got to me. Like, when you were saying that shit really, everybody was just like, oh, what's your sound? What's your sound? What's your sound? What's your sound? After Outside came, because they were just confused. Like, and Outside I have a song called Code Switch, and I'm like, they missed the whole point. Like, the whole point is that, okay, I'm code switching these accents, but it's like a double entendre. I'm code switching within these accents, but I'm also code switching from like a good girl to a bad girl, you know? And they just missed the whole thing, and they were like, well, what were you supposed to what are you? I was like, okay, well, what are you? Like, what is this?
Yeah, what does code switch mean?
Yeah. It's like, well, no, that's the whole point, is like showing y'all that I could do everything.
Right.
You know?
And I think you did pretty well.
Thank you.
Were you nervous with Outside too? Like when to put it out?
Fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why you look like you got pain in your eyes with look at his face. GQ looked like he got pain in his eyes.
I was so nervous, man, because I felt like I knew it was good. Like, I knew Outside 2 was great, because I knew that this was like the project where like I was being unapologetically me. Like, I don't want to hear anybody else say, oh, I don't know who Six is after this. Because like, if you listen to this, like, I'm lyrically that girl, like, period, you know? So this really was the project to solidify that. And then also just like picking out the beats and everything, I knew it was going to be a good project. What made me nervous about it was whether people were going to get it, you know? Like, whether people were going to be able to like experience what I experienced through it. Because the way that I curated it is like, I like to tell people like both of the Outsides are like a curated playlist in a way, because I put the track list together as if I was a DJ. So my fear was that people were just gonna skip through it and
do whatever
and not really listen to the art of it. But like, I feel like the feedback has been really, really good, and people have been able to listen to it in its entirety. Because I thought, like, for example, if somebody only listened to Toe Touch and thought like that was Six, like, oh, I listened to Toe Touch, that's she an Atlanta girl, like, and then that would be like their perception of me, and not being able to have the opportunity to listen to songs like Greasy or Sad Girl Music. You know, Sad Girl Music, one of my biggest songs in my opinion, you know. And like, what if somebody doesn't make it past that singing part, you know, and to get to the fun, like the party in the back. Those were the things that I was anxious about. But other than that, like, it's a great project.
It is a great project.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Thank you so much.
You feel good now that you put it out?
Absolutely. I feel relieved. Now I can listen to it. Like, I don't got to use private SoundCloud links and shit like that. Like, I can listen to it on...
Sending that shit around.
I know, right? Oh, it's so annoying. I can listen to it on Spotify now, so that's cool.
So what's next for you after this?
I'm hoping to do more collaborations, because Outside 2, I only had one feature with one of my high school friends, actually.
Dope.
Shout out to her. She's super dope. Ria706. And so now I kind of want to open myself up to more collaboration. I want to travel more and explore more sounds. For sure, like probably taking a stab at like a Mapiano and see like how that goes. Maybe some more dance records. Dance hall, I kind of want to collaborate with some dance hall artists.
That'd be fire.
You know, and then, you know, I'm trying to collaborate laterally too, and just find new artists that are new like me.
Yeah.
That are open to that, like that Pangea sound. But yeah, that's what's next. And then hopefully eventually build up to work on Outside 3.
Outside 3.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't have to wait 2 years for that.
I know. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah, you probably will.
Yeah,
you probably
we'll
will.
see. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't take that long, but maybe like little mixtapes in between, because I missed that.
Yeah, mixtape. Yeah, the mixtape.
Man, I miss that so bad. Like, I miss SoundCloud rapper. You don't even get SoundCloud rappers anymore. Everybody's just like available to stream everywhere. Like, you don't even, you know.
Yeah.
I miss that. But yeah.
I agree. Well, we got the performance out now, so make sure y'all go check that out. That's gonna be out. Outside 2 out now. Before we get out of here, anything else you want to let your fans know where they can follow you at? All that good stuff. Now's the time to do it. This camera right here.
Okay, so you can follow me everywhere. It's my artist name, SixSaidIt, SixSaidIt. Damn, I can't spell. IDIT, SixSaidIt on all platforms, all streaming platforms, all social media platforms. I have a music video out, Choosy. Check that out on YouTube. And yeah, check out Outside 2. It's the best album you're going to hear this year. And I'm going to stand on that. Okay?
Well, make sure you go check that out. Go check out the performance. That's out now. Outside 2 out now. Go stream it. Go run it up. Go follow her. Go show her some love. Go show her some support. Love is free. Support is free. But y'all already knew that. Till next time, SixSaidIt on the radar. We out. Boom.